I was listening to the story about, it was a story of a family in Washington, and the little boy called the Bigfoot the Cowboy Man. And he had, apparently, it had made an effort to steal this kid. And it hit me. My children were in that playpen behind me with nothing but a mosquito net over them. It could have crept up behind me and taken both of my children, and I wouldn't have known.
Father just got like a Mustang or something from Wyoming, okay? He had it out in the corral because he couldn't put it in the barn in the stalls with the other horses that would kick and made all the other horses nervous. Had a Seminole Indian working the horse trying to break it every day. So they had it out in the corral. This skunk ape snuck up behind this horse and grabbed it on its hind quarters. This particular horse kicks out, jumps over the corral, runs into the pasture, to get away. At this point, the rancher's out there just blasted away with the 30-30. Skunk ape runs into the swamp.
I went up there one day after that, or 2 days after that. I went up there and sat in the silence up there, and I'm telling you, man, it was free. It was crazy. There was a crazy vibe up there still. I did what I could to kind of get things under control, but I told her, I said, you need to get off this property. I feel like no matter how strong you are, it's almost like standing in the ocean. You can't stand still without moving your feet. You're going to get knocked over eventually, no matter how strong, whatever. You can't withstand a barrage of weird spiritual energy.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Paranormal Odyssey. I'm going to share another short story with you today. Before we get started, though, if you would hit that subscribe button, I would absolutely appreciate that. If you have had an encounter and would like to come on and share it with me, I'd love to talk to you about that. Shoot me an email to Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com. That's the first step. All right. This one will be number 24 of the short stories that we've been doing. It's going to jump right in. We're going to talk about the Devil's Toy Box. It's in Louisiana. Sitting out near the town of Leesville in rural northern Louisiana, around a 3-hour drive from New Orleans, is a haunted house attraction called Farmer Graves' Haunted Orchard. And in 2014, a new attraction was allegedly created to bring in curiosity seekers. On the outside, it appears as nothing more than a run-down, nondescript shack, something most people would walk by without paying much attention to it. But it's what's inside that makes it bizarre. Within this little shack, there are said to be nothing but floor-to-wall mirrors, all set up at certain angles and facing each other. It's unclear what the original intent of this attraction was, but it was supposedly inspired by the Clive Barker Hellraiser movies. And according to the lore, all sorts of weird and paranormal things began to happen here, more than earning it the rather ominous name of the Devil's Toy Box. Thus would begin an ominous tale of a room that drives people and draws it to, I don't know why it's written weird, drives people and draws to it ghostly forces, as well as an example of an urban legend running amok. I'm sorry about that, guys. The main story is that people could simply not bear it, stay in the room for very long at all. It is said that no one can last no more than 5 minutes within the room, with the average being only a minute or two before certain symptoms begin to set in. Those who have tried have supposedly claimed that they are beset by a wide range of symptoms, including nausea, headaches, trembling, dizziness, muscle pain, visual and aerial hallucinations, and seizures, to name a few. Apparently, the longest anyone had managed to stay in the Devil's Toy Box was 4 minutes and 37 seconds, allegedly set by a 52-year-old father of three named Roger Heltz. And making it even spookier is that he apparently became a morose, nearly vegetative mute after his experience. And here we get into many strange stories surrounding this place. As soon as the story of the Devil's Toy Box started making the rounds, all sorts of bizarre tales started popping up. It was said that to stay in the shack took it is said to stay in the shack too long could drive people stark raving mad, often driving them to suicide or turning them into raving lunatics. Tales abound of people running from the room screaming or of seeing ghosts and demons within. Reports of people dropping dead from heart attacks, being hospitalized, or leaving the shack covered in mysterious scratches and bruises are not uncommon, and as the legend evolved, it was said that if you were to withstand being in the shack long enough, the devil himself would appear to you. There are even reports of people going into the shack only to vanish without a trace. Internet forums like Reddit were full of stories like these, with it hard to tell how much of it was truth, urban legend, or creepy pasta fictional tales. After some after some of the time of this, the owners of Farmer Graves' haunted orchard, a middle-aged couple named Will and Darlene Sawyer, had the attraction shut down, but the Devil's Toy Box remained sitting out there gathering dust and weeds. And from there, it seems to have become a popular spooky place for curious trespassers to try their luck in the shack. As rumors of the now abandoned Devil's Toy Box continued to circulate, the tales of paranormal weirdness surrounding the shack continued, with the new elements and, and flourishes such as there were shadow people, strange creatures lurking in the woods around it. The shack has been blamed for the mysterious disappearances and suicides of countless curious teenagers, and the legend continues on to this day, with some of the lore now saying that the shack was destroyed by a young man named John Tyler, who went there and experienced the sensation of being trapped within the shack and having reality distorted. For a while, it was hard to know what to make of this, and it certainly all has the feel of a creepy urban legend, perhaps based on a real place. But that didn't stop the people from speculating on what it could be in the stories and true and how it might work. The idea was that the mirrors were somehow harnessing paranormal or interdimensional energy and focusing it within that shack. There have even been claims of creating smaller versions of the box, and one can even find instructions for making one on the internet. Despite all this, and even claims from some paranormal investigators that they had actually investigated the box, it would turn out that the story was actually completely made up by author Joel Fairley of the site Thought Catalog. Apparently, he wanted to usher in the new creepy category with a tale similar to what one can find on Reddit's No Sleep thread, a story that could almost be taken as maybe real. In essence, he wanted to create a new urban legend, and it sure seems to have worked. He was completely shocked at how his story spread far and wide, taking on a life of its own, posted and reported across the net and believed by so many people as possibly real, to the point that he was compelled to set the record straight when he felt that it was getting out of hand. Even with his admission that it is all fiction, people have continued to tell tales of the devil's toy box and insist it is real, making it a great example of how urban legends are born and how they can worm their way into discussions on real paranormal phenomena. It is all certainly a curious peek into the phenomena of urban legends and certain stories being picked up to go on to become widely reported as real, making it clear that it is best to be careful as to what stories we take as real and which ones we should discard. It never really seems to always be clear in the world of the paranormal, and as a warning, the tale of the devil's toy box served as simultaneously a cool tale and a word of caution as to what can happen with urban legends and how much they can take a hold when allowed to thrive unfettered. There you have it. The story of the devil's toy box. It's another example of an urban legend that might have just went too far. It's a cool story though. It's creepy. It'd be cool if there was some truth to it. But you know what they say about urban legends, even though this guy claims to have completely made it up, there's some level of truth to most of these stories. Maybe this one included. Don't know. All right, guys, let me know what you think of these. I do want to go ahead and share a listener submitted email about a story that I shared last week, the Sloss Furnaces. Mr. Joseph Arnold wrote me. He says, I have been there. I can confirm what either Taps or Ghost Adventures filmed there. I forget which one. One of them used lasers in a tunnel and they picked up the image of a figure forming, and as I recall, it moved toward them. I have been in that tunnel. I saw it form and start walking towards us. My wife at the time and her friend were with me, and we snuck off from a concert being held there. I had slipped around this place a time or 2 years before, and they wanted a tour. They saw it too. We all left the tunnel as quickly as possible. Later on the south side of the plant, I saw people moving inside a small furnace, but they disappeared when I shone a light. They vanished. It is creepy. You said you lived near it, Alabama? Question mark. No, I'm in Tennessee. By the way, Naoma Finn, turned me on to your channel. I'm a big fan of hers and trust her opinion, and she recommended your channel to follow. I followed her from the beginning and spoken with her many times. I learned of her on Cam Buckner's channel, Dixie Cryptid, as most of you know. Anyway, the point of this paragraph was just to let you know that. All right, appreciate it, Mr. Joseph Arnold. Joseph, not sure what you go by, buddy, but I really do appreciate you taking the time to send in your experiences at Sloss Furnaces. That is a creepy place. Answer your question, I don't live in Alabama. I have a brother that lives in Alabama, so I've been to Alabama several times, but I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee, just a stone's throw from the Alabama line. I would like to go and visit, though. It sounds like a cool place. But thanks again, buddy, for writing in. And thanks again, Naoma Finn, one of my favorites, for recommending the channel. All right, guys. I want to ask everyone to please head over to paranormalworldproductions.com. Check out our website, get you some merch. I'd appreciate that. I want to remind everybody about the 2 episodes of Paranormal Odyssey, which are released weekly every Wednesday and Sunday. Also, Friday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, you can find us right here on YouTube for Paranormal Odyssey Live. All right, guys. Let me know what you think about these. Thanks for the continued support. I'd appreciate any suggestions on future topics. And just shoot me a line to say hey. I'd appreciate it. All right, guys. Y'all take care of each other. Take care of yourselves.